accurate and is really a key tool to wake up people who are basically mind-numb sheep, who have no idea what's going on. They're not going to read some big, thick Creature from Jekyll Island book or even read a Ron Paul in the Fed book, but they will watch an entertaining 30-minute film. And so we're going to be talking to one of the creators of this here in just a moment. But first, I wanted to play a clip from American Dream. This is a clip of Thomas Jefferson with actual quotes that he had to say about the banking cartel, and then we'll go to our guests. Here's that clip.
Let's not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. We must make our choice between economy and liberty or profusion and servitude. Wow. I place economy among the first and most important of Republican virtues, and public debt is the greatest of the dangers to be feared. It is incumbent on every generation to pay its own debts as it goes.
We must have a central bank to secure this country's finances.
If the American people ever allow private banks to control the issue of their money, first by inflation and then by deflation, the banks and corporations that will grow up around them will deprive the people of their property until their children will wake up homeless on the very continent their fathers conquered.
Jefferson, you're mad. This country will have a central bank.
Who's that? America's first Secretary of Treasury.
Alexander Hamilton?
Not for long. Aaron Burr, Thomas Jefferson's vice president. They didn't take too kindly to our first Sec Treasury. Sweet shot, Burr. The first attempt at a central bank only lasted 20 years and we shut it down. But the bankers tried again against Old Hickory President Andrew Jackson.
You are a den of vipers and thieves. I intend to rout you out, and by the eternal God, I will rout you out.
After surviving an assassination attempt, Jackson finally defeated the bank in 1836. When asked what was the greatest accomplishment in his life, Old Hickory replied,
I killed the bank.
And those were his last words. I killed the bank.
And it just gets better and better. Tad Lumpkin is the director of American Dream, because you've got to be asleep to believe it. And we're going to play some more clips here in a few minutes, but this is a masterpiece. Why did you decide to make this, and are you going to make any sequels coming up?
Well, thanks for having me on. We decided to make it primarily for some of the reasons that you touched on. I mean, we feel like we've got to get this message of the Federal Reserve and a lot of other issues out beyond the core constituency who will pick up and read these books and are students of Austrian economics or fans of Ron Paul's, or, you know, people who read history and understand what's going on. And so we wanted to sort of take all the things that have been said by, you know, in documentaries and books and things like that, and translate it into a very simple and mass marketable package that people could give their friends who can't quite bridge the gap or won't spend the time to really find out what's going on there. So that's you know, that was our primary motivation, because it's unbelievable the vacuum of good information that's out there and the different avenues to get it out there. So,
well, you're right. Most of it is very dry and academic, but you guys have put it together in an entertaining, funny, but also frightening and very accurate way. Look, we all look for corruption to come in a Hitler outfit with a mustache, or a Stalin, or a Mao. Societies really aren't good at responding to subterfuge, financial fraud. I think it was Cicero, the Roman philosopher, that said, the enemy outside the gate's not the threat. It's the traitor within. And it's this slow subterfuge. And these banks are waging war. They're the people that lobby for higher taxes so it can be paid to them through bailout. They're the people devaluing our currency. And we see now the very same banking families literally swallowing the euro that they set up as a receivership arm into this new system. And that's why I want to go to this clip breaking down the Rothschilds. I mean, you really go after the central banking house in this film. Tell us about the full spectrum of the documentary.
Well, I mean, what we wanted to cover is we wanted to show people sort of the globalist nature and the progressive nature of how this works. I mean, these people are very patient, and these ideas are very patient because they're transcendent of generation. And what they do is they progressively implement these things, and they're willing to wait and bide their time and seep in. And, you know, it took them 100 years to get control of the education system, but now they've got it. Now all these people believe this narrative, this certain narrative of history that just fundamentally is untrue if you go back and study the facts. So we use the Rothschilds because we felt like they really established, especially as far as the financial and intelligence network, the first sort of interrelated global information and financial system where they started in debt nations and people through the power of the state.
That's right, and financing. And people always think about one country against the other. What side are you on? Not the globalist funding both sides to get both in debt. And this clip we're about to play shows, like during a war, giant Rothschild vacuum cleaners sucking both sides' gold up into its system. And that's exactly what's happening. The general public thinks of things as black or white or Coke or Pepsi, this side or that side, not this globalist system manipulating things. And just like a university can be around for 500 years, these mega families have new programs that make them great profits, but over time expand and actually take over all of society.
No, yeah, that's absolutely correct. I mean, what people need to understand is this isn't Republican, Democrat, or left or right. What it is are you for control or are you for liberty? And if you're for control, then what's going to end up happening is we're going to eventually erase all semblance of individual identity and move to a faceless, numbered system where everybody pays into this monstrous centralized bureaucracy and they decide what they're going to do for the greater, in the name of the greater good.
And by the way, that's the stated globalist goal. I'm so glad you ought to host the show someday. You've definitely got it. They are waging war against individuality because that can give rise to resistance. I mean, this is a scientific tyranny. And when you really read their writings, once they get us in the faceless system where the family can't stand up for you, where there's no help, they just want to get rid of everybody. These bankers don't like having to see the general public. They've stolen the world through fraud. They believe it's theirs, and they see us as a weevil infestation they want gone. So it really is us or them.
Well, and what's happening too is you see it. I mean, when you look at this stuff and you pull back from these little year-to-year changes to decade and century changes, I mean, there's a reason why we've moved from local government to state government to now more and more federal government to the creation of a UN, to the creation of larger regional, the push for unions, the push for more singular currencies. I mean, you're seeing right now in Europe, what is their response going to be for this crisis that will inevitably drag Europe down, which if it drags Europe down, it'll drag Asia and us, and there'll be a global financial crisis. And you hear the Germans already talking about to save their EU, they're going to give their sovereign national identity up. I mean, that is absolutely insane.
Well, listen, founders of the euro have bragged in major publications that it was always a temporary receivership arm to fully implode countries. Look at Ireland. The biggest success story in Europe, fastest growing, lowest debt. Within 2 months of signing onto the euro, they were suddenly bankrupt, but only because it was an agreement to sign their country over to foreign banks. And their Federal Reserve head in the BBC, I must have read this quote 50 times on air, it was so incredible, said, it's good to have Ireland run by foreign banks. We're handing it over. So, I mean, they just hide this stuff in plain view. And now they're announcing this new Bank of the World as they bankrupt each country. I mean, I knew 16 years ago they were going to sell derivatives and bankrupt all these nations and do it in waves. And here we are, Tad, and you've made this film that I think of all the films out there is the shortest, the most entertaining, the most focused, that can be literally like a life preserver or a life ring thrown to these people that are just, literally flailing in an ocean of ignorance. That's why we promote the film. We carry it on our online video bookstore at INFOWARS.com. It's so important for people to get it. I want to play a clip now breaking down the Rothschilds from your film. We'll get your comment on that and then play one more clip. But remember, folks, this is a little over 30 minutes long. They also have a family version because it's got a tiny bit of racing language in it. It is designed to reach out to the brain dead masses. Here it is.
A money machine. There it is.
Hey, is that the same people?
Rich banker men from Germany flying under the banner of the Red Shield. They finance both sides of the war. We must hurry. That's him, the Red Shield courier. Shoot him. He beat everyone back with the news of the war and told England that Napoleon won. The Red Shield bankers in London pretended that England was doomed and started selling their English stocks. The English went into a selling frenzy to get rid of worthless English money. But it was a trick by Red Shield. They waited until the stocks plummeted to pennies and then bought England back for nearly nothing.
What? They did that? How?
When the English leaders found out, they had no choice but to give themselves over to the Red Shield. Their money was gone and they were slaves to the Red Shield war debt. Since that time, the English have been paying their national taxes directly to the Red Shield private bankers. The people have no idea.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, get American Dream out to everybody today. It's available in high quality on DVD at INFOWARS.com. It's free on YouTube. The makers of the film, the director who's here with us, Tad Lumpkin, care about this information, so they're giving it to you. But I hope you'll support alternative filmmaking so they can make future animated, entertaining documentaries to really reach out to folks. Yeah, that's my name, animated educational documentary. I mean, is there a better term to describe what you've done here, Ted?
Well, what we've tried to do is weave in a bit of a narrative documentary. So we got people involved in a character that they could see him go through the journey. You know, in this, he's learning along the way, but we tried to do something where it wasn't just a man and a camera. It was sort of like you saw a story and a character arc happening at the same time while we gave this information.
It's a quest. It's a personal journey. It's a Pilgrim's Progress or Frodo going into Mordor, so that people watching it individualize that they are in this movie. And the incredible thing is we are all in your film. This is real. We're under attack. These mega banks are financing eugenics, cancer viruses, and the vaccines, the end of the family. These are real son of a bitch bastards.
Well, I think what people have to understand is, because what you hear all the time is that this point of view gets marginalized as, you know, whack job, wingnut. I mean, they do it. I know they do it to you. They do it to Ron Paul. They do it to everybody. And the thing we're trying to do is we're trying to give people, without diluting the truth and the message of what's going on there, a version where they can psychologically understand this is an agenda. There's a theological and philosophical point of view that says that are we going to have human institutions control humanity? That's where do you get your rights from? Do you get them from beyond this earth, or do you get them from people who run this earth? And I think that's what people got to understand is that there's a philosophical agenda going on that when you drill into what that's there, it's not some weird conspiracy. It's about what these people believe.
Well, look, it's a great point, Ted. I'm sorry, I was cutting you off. Go ahead and say it again.
No, I was saying it's about what these competing philosophies are about, what life is and what it's about, and where, you know, who has the power and who gets